All right, good morning, Covenant students. Today is March 31st. I'm kind of losing track of the days a little bit since we've been not at school, but doing school at home. And so today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to start your container garden at home. Some of you are coming over on Friday to pick up some materials to start growing either a vegetable or an herb at your house. And I'm really excited for this project because it's a wonderful way to take care of seeds, to watch the progression of growth, and to care for something and enjoy reaping the harvest when it is fully grown. So we have lots of varieties of seeds for you, from tomatoes to peppers to green beans, chives. So what you'll need for your container garden is one of these containers that I have set up for you that you can pick up at school on Friday. I have, most of them are all about this size or a little bigger, and good potting soil. I took a lot of the garden soil that we had already purchased for our raised beds, and I added some ingredients like peat moss, perlite, and compost, along with a little bit of garden lime. Those are important ingredients to convert a garden raised bed soil to a potting soil. Very different kinds of soil. You need a good potting soil, Potting. I know what you're thinking. You need a good soil for a container that allows the plant to breathe, it allows the plant to drain really well, and it provides a lot of healthy nutrients, especially for seeds to grow well. You'll need your container, you'll need your soil. Some of the seeds that we're starting might need some support. So a bamboo stick or a tomato cage, some kind of trellis, which I'll show you in another tutorial when our plants grow. Today I'm going to start a type of green bean variety, and I'm also going to start a tomato variety. The tomato I'm going to start is actually one of the tomatoes that third grade has started, the grappoli tomato. It's a small cherry tomato variety that likes cooler weather. We've already started the seed, so I'm going to show you what it looks like to put an already started plant into a container. The second seed that we're going to start is a type of green bean variety, and I'll show you how I started the green bean seed so that you can also try it at home. Join me as we start our containers together. Today I'm going to show you both ways. I'm going to show you how to start something that we started from a seed into a plant, putting it into a container, and I'm also going to show you how we just start with a direct sow of a seed. So third grade, you actually started some beautiful heirloom seeds before we left school. You started a couple of plants that were specific to Italy, that were specific to just Italy's heritage, seeds that were brought over by immigrants many years ago. Heirloom seeds mean that these seeds have been passed down from generation to generation. So congratulations, Ben, from Mrs. Kittleson's third grade class. I'm actually using your grappoli tomato today. It was actually the largest grappoli tomato plant, and we used the Stay Green soil formula from Lowe's. So I'm super excited to get started on this tomato plant. When you start a tomato plant indoors and it starts to grow nice and tall, you want to just prune the bottom, the last little branches here. And that's just going to strengthen this stem of the plant and encourage it to grow taller and stronger. So every now and then, as it grows bigger, any little shoots that come off, I'm just gonna prune them off just to encourage a nice, tall, strong plant to grow. This cup that we planted them in was a special compostable cup. It's already starting to slowly break down. You can see, and I can actually insert this whole thing into my container. I want to make a deep space available here, about the size of this cup. So I'm only going to put one in this container. Tomatoes like a lot of space, they like a lot of air, and so it helps them to really have a lot of room. So try to give them that space if you can. So you can kind of see this, I've centrally planted it. You don't even see the cup anymore. I dug the hole deeply so that the cup could set in there really nicely. And I've covered it back up with soil. And it's okay that this little tomato plant is a little sideways right now. Once he's sitting out here in the sun, he'll have a little bit more direction. The last thing I'm going to add is I'm going to sprinkle about a tablespoon or so of this plant food here, Eco Scraps. This is something I've been wanting to try for a while. I haven't used this. My tomato crop was just okay last year, so I'm going to try some plant food just to see if that encourages the tomato in a container. Last year, the tomato that I had growing in a container, that it was just too small of a space, and it didn't really, it produced fine, but it could have been a lot better. So I wanted to make sure I used a bigger container, and I'm going to add a little bit of plant food. Like I said, about 2 tablespoons. That should probably be enough right there. I'm just going to sprinkle it around this plant a little bit and kind of scratching it into the soil around it. And this is just made up of a little bit of a compost, a little bit of leftovers, a little bit of worm castings. Earthworms are really good for soil, so there's some of that. And it smells a little bit like fish food because there's some fish guts in there. Believe it or not, fish guts is very good for plants. And the next thing I need to do is give this a really good water, and I'm going to grab that water from my rain barrel. I like to encourage using a watering can, just something to gently water our plants. We don't want to use the heavy weight of a hose unless you have a nice sprinkler setting on your hose. Now these planters had some pretty large holes on the bottom of the container, and to keep the soil in, I put in some lava rock and some other size rocks that I found around the school, and I kind of plugged those holes up. It still allows water to drain out, but I don't want the soil to leave the container. You want the water to drain out. That is okay. Now it's time to find the perfect sunny spot for your container. Again, I planted tomatoes. Tomatoes love sun. So I want to make sure I put this little grappoli tomato in the right spot. It happens that my patio is very sunny, but I also have a dog that is very curious. So I need to put this little tomato plant somewhere where it can get sun and where it's out of the way of my doggie. So I decided to put it up on this little planter shelf behind me. I have my tomato plant up on my plant shelf in a safe spot, and I can already tell that it's very happy to be in a bigger pot now and a bigger planter. So next I'm going to do a green bean variety. So now is the perfect time to plant a plant that you have started. If you don't want to start from seed indoors, you can always just directly sow the seed into your container, especially after April 13th. Some plants like the leafy greens, the lettuce, the spinach, some things you can start before that, but something like peas or green beans, you might want to start on April 13th, which is our last frost date, just to make sure that it's warm enough to put these things out. So I'm going to show you an easy way to start a seed. You could do this with green beans like I did, or you can try with other seeds. I took a wet paper towel and I put it in a Ziploc bag and I put it in my kitchen sunny window. I probably get sun there 6 hours in the day. Right there we have like a breakfast table, and so I just put it on the kitchen breakfast table in the sun, and I started this on Wednesday or Thursday, and today is Tuesday. So just a few days later, this little green bean has already started to sprout a root. This is an easy way to germinate a seed. And recently we did this with Above and Beyond and lima beans, which is really fun. And it was really cool to watch these lima beans sprout to life. So when you're eating beans, remember, you're eating seeds, right? So this is a very easy way to start a quick germination process of certain kinds of seeds. But I wanted to start this just a little bit so that I knew that this would be ready for my container plant. Again, it only takes a few days. It's worth a try. If it doesn't start to sprout out roots, you have plenty of other seeds to try, or you can just put it directly in. But this is a helpful way to know if it is ready to grow. So I'm going to make some room in my container. Again, I've got the soil ready. I have the nice wide container ready. I'm just gonna make probably, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch deep. This doesn't really require a whole lot of depth in the soil like the tomato plant. So I'm gently putting that in that little seed there. You can kind of see he's tucked in right there in the center. And I'm just dusting it with some soil. That's it. That's all I'm gonna do, and I'll leave it alone after I water it. Before you put it in your sunny spot, make sure you put a label on it. You wanna make sure you remember what you're growing there. Now, Mrs. Tharp made a huge mistake. I took this green bean seed out of the packet, but I can't remember if it is a pole bean or a bush bean. I totally forgot what kind of green bean I started. So as it grows, I will surely find out. But for right now, I'm going to put green beans, and as it grows, I'll do another video to talk about a bush bean versus a trellising pole bean. But I'll leave it up to mystery for now. Okay, so I have my label here, and I also included the date because I want to be reminded when I directly have sown this seed. The green beans I know will be nice and long and plump. Again, when it feels tender, you know that it's ready to harvest. And to encourage a longer harvest time, trim back the beans every now and then. You can trim it back after you pick some of the green beans, and it'll continue to grow and produce more vegetables for you. Same thing with the tomatoes. I am not going to put plant food on this seed right now, not until it grows up, until it's about maybe 6 inches or so. So I'm going to wait on that, but I'm certainly going to water and give it a really good drink. You don't want to drown your seeds. You just want to make sure the soil is nice and watered, and you don't want any soupy puddling in there. That either means that you have poor drainage or you've really clearly overwatered, and I want that seed to stay in that spot that I put it. So try to be careful on how much water you put in when you start from seed. The last thing I'm going to do is put it in a proper place. So I have room on this plant stand for this bean to grow. I might have to move it later once the plant gets bigger, but for now I'm going to put it right here on my plant stand. It's going to get plenty of sun, and I think it'll be really happy there. I've placed my green beans on this second planter stand for now. It might have to move to my patio table once the plant gets a little bigger. But for now, I think these plants are in a safe spot. They've had enough water. They're in really good container soil, and I've given the tomatoes some plant food. So that is the easiest way to start. You can either start from a plant indoors and then plug it into your container, or you can start from seed. If you have any questions at all, please email me at etharp@cpcstl.org. You can also email me your pictures or participate on my Google Classroom. I'd love to see what you're doing with your plants. I want to know what seeds you chose and why, and show me the progress of your container garden. Where did you decide to put it? Maybe you decide to give it to your grandparents or to a next door neighbor. I would love to follow your story with your container gardening as I help you to see the progression of my plants too through my Google Online Classroom. Until then, I'll see you all later. Go outside and do things.